What's up, everybody? Welcome to my channel. This is Nerd Level Rising. My name is Jake. Today I want to go over all my reading plans for November. And there's a lot. You can see there's quite the stack. It's deceptively big looking, I'll be honest, right? I'm not getting through a stack this big without there being some little cheating going on. So I'll get into that. But first, before I say that, I'm recording this. This is actually November 3rd as I'm recording this. So it's a couple days before this video will come out. And I woke up this morning to hitting the 1,000 subscriber mark on my channel, which absolutely blows me away. I don't understand what's happening, but it's awesome. And just thank you so much. Thank you guys so much for being here. Like, this is, I know I say this all the time, but this is truly one of the coolest things that I have done in my life. To be honest, I know that might sound like an exaggeration, but it's not. I mean, this has been just such a fun journey and such a welcoming, loving, just embracing journey. Like, the community here is just incredible. I'm so thankful for all you guys and all the people that I've gotten to interact with and make friends with, and it's crazy, dude. I don't know. So thank you so much. Okay. With that aside, let me move forward here, getting into the reading plans, and some of this is stuff that I actually have wrapped up. So just in the few days that the month has already begun, because they're left over a little bit from the end of October. So first on the list, and I don't have my Kindle with me, but ebook stuff. I was planning to finish The Dregs of Empire by Christopher Rocchio. This is the next novella in the Sun Eater series after Ashes of Man. And I will say, based on the character that this novella focuses on and the events that are taking place, it is absolutely mandatory to be at least through Ashes of Man until you read Dregs of Empire. And this story was, I don't even really want to say who it's about, because to me that it's kind of soft spoiler territory already anyway. But this character was somebody who I love reading in the main series, and I was very excited to get a novella from their perspective, just to kind of get in their head a little bit more, see what's going on, with their emotional state, not only after the events of Ashes of Man, but just in general, just them as a person. And I was not let down. It was really cool. It was really interesting. I was just glued to the page. And I'll tell you what, man, doing all this cardio that I've been doing for my bodybuilding prep and having my Kindle there to kind of get me through, like, I was so locked in on that story, and it really took my mind away from, just the mindless cardio that I'm doing. And another thing that I'll say, bonus points, Rocchio slipped in a few Cowboy Bebop references into that story. Very nicely done. Huge fan of that. And it was awesome. It was awesome. So after that, the plan with my ebook reading is going to be to then today I will start Tales of the Sun Eater Volume 3. It's the third short story collection, and I'm excited for that. And then after that, I'll just have Disquiet Gods left, and then I'll be current on the series, which is amazing and exciting, but also very sad, because I love Sun Eater so much, and I don't want to have to wait for more content, But that's okay. Such is life. That's how it goes, and it's just a testament to how great this story is that Christopher's made. So I'm excited to get into those short stories. The first short story collection I wasn't huge on, but I did like it. The second short story collection I absolutely loved, and it turned me into a short story fan. Like, I now am somebody who, like, if there's short stories, I used to just be like, now I'll skip those, whatever. Now I'm like, yeah, I want to read those. So that's awesome, and I'm hoping this third collection just continues that. And I know that there are some one or two stories at the end that are really butting up against Disquiet Gods in the timeline, so I'm excited for that. After that, I believe I still will have time during the month to get into another ebook, which will be The Gallant by Janie Wirtz, which I keep hearing people say The Gallant, and please correct me in the comments if I'm saying it wrong. I've always pronounced that word gallant. I don't know if maybe in the story it's pronounced a certain way for a certain reason or whatever, but I'm going to say The Gallant. And I'm excited for that, because we're starting the Wars of Light and Shadow read-along next year, and I'm going to be following along with, everybody, John from Talking Story and Brian Bell are kind of spearheading it, and especially John. But, they're doing their thing, all the live stream discussions and all of that. I'm so excited for those. I'm going to be in all those live chats and commenting with everybody, and it's going to be so fun to be sort of riding alongside that journey. But The Gallant is the prequel novella to the story. And I'm like, well, what better way to, one, get a little bite-sized sample of Janie Wertz's writing, and also to get that prequel in before we start the read-along in January. So that'll be awesome. Very excited for that. And then I don't know, if I have more time in terms of an ebook, I think I have an idea of where I'll go, which I'll probably mention here in a second when I get into physical reads, which I know sounds silly, but it'll make sense later. But there's that. There's like sort of my cardio ebook reading. Next is sort of my bedtime reading. I've mentioned before, I like to have just something super light and easy, ideally short chapters, and just, my brain doesn't have to work that hard. It's just kind of candy, to have right before bed, just to relax, get myself in that state, ready to sleep. And I've been working my way through Skyward by Brandon Sanderson. This is his YA sci-fi series, focusing on Spensa, who is this girl who is, she's always wanted to be a fighter pilot, and she sort of has this trauma from her younger childhood, and she shows up to flight school, and this Skyward is really the story of her going through flight school and learning how to be a pilot, but also learning there's more going on in the world than she thought. And there's a lot more complexity and a lot more layers to the leadership on the world, why they're there. This is, different. It's not on Earth, right? It's a different planet. And there's more going on with the enemy, the Krell, that are out there that keep doing these raids against the planet Detritus where they're on. And she's just uncovering more and more layers of what's happening. And by the end, you get some insights into what is really going on that I think will be explored a lot more, obviously, in the rest of the series. And I'm looking forward to that. I had a really good time with this. I'm generally not a big YA person, but this was way darker than I was expecting, which was great. There was a lot of there's a lot of trauma in this book for being something that's not necessarily meant for adults, but I found it to be something that I could really latch onto and still get a lot out of, and I really enjoyed the characters. I really like Mbot. He reminded me a lot of K2SO from the Rogue One Star Wars movie, so that was really fun. And I don't know if it was intentional or not, but I saw maybe some, at least what I connected to some of the Gundam anime that I've seen with like new types and how they've sort of evolved. They're humans that have sort of evolved naturally into being more apt to piloting, in Gundam, piloting the giant mechs that execute these military operations. But in this, it's sort of not too dissimilar of a thing, just instead of, humanoid mechs, it's spaceships. But I saw, a little bit of that maybe. And I don't know if Brandon is a fan of Gundam, but, it was a cool little similarity for me. Anyway, so this was really fun. I enjoyed this. I wrapped this up and actually I'm one chapter into the sequel, which is Starsight. I got my nice talking story bookmark in there as well. Shout out to John and Jacob. But yeah, it's picking up. I think it was maybe 6 months after the end of Skyward, and I'm just barely starting this, right? So I can't really say anything about this, but I'm looking forward to digging deeper into the series. Like I said, there was more to latch onto in Skyward than I was expecting. So this will be cool. This will be fun, and that'll be my bedtime read kind of going throughout November, and I expect this might take me through the end of the year, to be honest, right? Just kind of slowly chipping away. It's not a super long book, but, only 5-10 pages a night takes a while to get through something, right? So there's that. There's sort of my bedtime reads. Now we get into my main books that I am reading. And, you guys heard me talk about this in my last update video, Fury of the Gods. I've been making my way through the Bloodsworn saga throughout the last, I think I read Shadow of the Gods maybe in September, and then Hunger of the Gods, really just last second, right before this came out in October, and then jumped into this pretty soon after the release date. And this picks up right where Hunger left off, continues to amplify and escalate, and just everything is building to this crescendo like John Gwynne is so good at. I mean, he is the absolute master of epic, huge battle scenes, and also really satisfying, huge conclusions, right? Huge endings. And this is no exception, right? I think Wrath and the Faithful and the Fallen was fantastic. I think A Time of Courage from the Blood and Bone sequel trilogy, fantastic. I mean, that book was 2/3 of that was battle scenes, right? And then this book was, to me, this had an even better balance of a little bit more build-up, some more character moments, some of those epic battles, of course, right? Especially towards the end. And it was very satisfying. It had all the epicness that I was hoping for. It had all the character moments that I was hoping for. And if you've read the rest of the series, you know what moments I'm talking about that you were hoping to be able to see. And it was just fantastic. It was just fantastic. To be fair, there was one confrontation between two characters that I was hoping for that I didn't get. But what happened instead, I think, was very satisfying and totally fine. So I'm not disappointed, but that was the one thing that didn't quite line up with what I was sort of anticipating. But otherwise, it's John Gwynne, guys, and it's Bloodsworn, and this is just a utterly amazing series. And please read this. Please read this. This has gotten me very excited to get more into Norse stuff. I really like the Vinland Saga anime. I'd like to read the manga of that as well. I love this. This was the most Norse-inspired thing that I've read, and it's gotten me really intrigued to look at some of the source material even that John Gwynne has talked about was a massive inspiration for him. And I know Philip Chase on his channel has mentioned the Icelandic sagas and sources like that I think would be really, really cool to check out. So maybe I'm entering my Viking era. Who knows? We'll see. But this was just, come on, dude. Come on. Look at the cover. Come on. Fear of the Gods. Fantastic. After that, I kind of wanted something that is, a little bit just, let me take a breath, right? Because I have some heavier reads coming up the rest of the month and some faster paced reads as well. So I'm kind of, that's what I'm trying to sort of break it up with, right? Is faster paced, lighter stuff to help break up the heavy, dense, really thought-provoking things and some really dark things. So what I picked up next is the third book. It's not this entire thing, I promise, right? It's just the last third. The third book in this collection of the Legend of Drizzt series, the big overarching, there's 30-something books in the series at this point. And this is book 3 in the Paths of Darkness little sub-trilogy. And I love how Salvatore does this, where he splits his massive series into these little chunks, kind of like Realm of the Elderlings. And this book is called Sea of Swords. This is the third book in this little sub-trilogy. I believe it's book 13, I want to say, overall. And I literally started it this morning. And I'm coming into this with some trepidation because, as I've talked about on my channel before, I loved Dark Elf Trilogy. I loved Icewind Dale Trilogy. The Legacy of the Drow, I loved the first 3, and then book 4 was kind of a hard letdown. And then in this trilogy, book 1 was solid. Book 2, I didn't like that much, right? It was probably my least favorite one of my least favorites so far. I haven't actually sat down and ranked them, but it was not my favorite by any means. This third one is off to a start that makes me very optimistic, and it's starting I think I read the first 3 chapters or something this morning, and in the prologue, and I'm like, this is why I like Drizzt, right? This is most of why I like the series, is everything that's packed in these first few chapters. So I'm very hopeful that this will restore my faith in the overall series, and then I'll be super excited to continue, because I really slowed down on going through these books just because I've been kind of trudging through the last couple. So I'm hoping this reignites my passion for it. We shall see. I don't anticipate that will take me very long. I mean, these Drizzt books are super fast reads. So looking forward to that and getting back into just some good old-fashioned, traditional, heroic D&D type of fantasy. It's going to be very, very cool. So there's that. Sea of Swords, R.A. Salvatore in the world of Forgotten Realms. And that'll be a good time. Next up, like I said, I'm balancing out some things. We have our first official entry into the Red Company book club, We Are the Dead, by Mike Shackle. So again, the Red Company, which is a Sun Eater reference, is myself, Chance Dillon, go check out his channel, Chris, the Bearded Book Beast, go check out his channel, and Alex from Iskandaria, go check out his channel. All of them great dudes, super excited to talk to them more and more and more as we continue doing this whole booktube journey together. And I'm so excited to read this, man. I've wanted to read this trilogy ever since Mike from Mike's Book Reviews talked about this forever. I was the first person that I saw mention it, and I've seen a couple other people talk about it since then, and I'm just like, man, I got to get to this, but it's so hard to find time for things. And when we got our book club together, we were throwing around ideas of what to do, and I believe it was Chance throughout this trilogy, and we decided to do it. So here we go, book 1. I'm doing it this month, and we're all going to have it read by the end of the month. We'll probably get together to discuss it. I think the very start of December is the plan currently. I can't wait for this, man. Everything I've heard about this, super fast-paced, super dark, super violent, grimdark, all that goodness. A lot of Abercrombie influence on here is what I've heard. Short chapters, great character work. I mean, like, what more can you ask for, man? And, I mean, the covers are cool. Everything that I've heard about Mike Shackle personally, he seems like a really great guy. So, man, I'm so excited, and I think especially coming off the Drist book and that more heroic and classical style, I think getting into this is going to be a really nice transition and just something different to mix it up, and I think that's going to be really refreshing and fun. Can't wait for that. And the first inaugural, am I saying that right, meeting of the Red Company will be a blast, I'm sure. After that, I don't think that's going to take me super long either, maybe a week at the most, something like that, because it's, again, not a huge book. I get to go back to one of my new favorite trilogies, and that is the Edan trilogy by Dr. Philip Chase. You guys heard me gush about The Way of Edan, how much I loved that. By the way, Broken Binding is doing a special edition of The Way of Edan, and it looks phenomenal, and let's go make that thing sell out immediately. Let's do it, right? Broken Binding deserves it. Philip deserves it. And the artwork is all so gorgeous. He's revealed a bunch of it on his channel, or all of it on his channel. It's gorgeous, and it's every bit as great as the book is. So if you go read that book if you haven't yet. But this book 2, I could not be more excited to get to where book 1 left off. I just wanted so much more, but I also wanted to space it out because this is a series that I really want to not rush through. I want to be able to take my time and really think about it and really feel it and really immerse myself into what's going on. And getting back to this is such an exciting prospect. And I think that this is one I mentioned. I might jump into the ebook earlier than when I grab this, just based on how the timing all works out, because I do want to make sure that I get this done this month, and I don't want to run over by simply holding out for only doing the print version. So I think as I continue having to do a ton of cardio and I get through Tales of the Sun Eater 3 and I get through the Gallant, I'll probably go ahead and jump into the Prophet of Edan ebook as I continue kind of doing that. And then once I get to the point where I finish We Are the Dead and I can grab this physical copy, which is just my preference in general, I will grab the physical copy and we'll rock it out. And I have no doubt that it's going to be fantastic. I mean, just the front cover, what this hints at potentially happening, that's pretty exciting. And the back cover has a dragon on it. So yeah, very excited for the Prophet of Edan, and that's even just the title, what that sort of hints at based on what we learned in book 1. Yeah, man, very, very much looking forward to that. And then finally, to round out the month, I do not think I'm going to finish this in November, barring something crazy happening. I have quite a bit of travel actually in November, which could go one of two ways. It could go in the sense that I get to read a bunch extra, maybe, but it could also mean reading a lot less than I otherwise would. So I don't know, we'll see. But what I will end the month with is To Ride Hell's Chasm by Janny Wirtz. And this is, of course, a standalone story that is completely removed from the Wars of Light and Shadow. It's its own thing. And everything that I've heard about this is that it has all of that same beauty and depth of her writing style, but it's a contained story, right? So it's not quite as big of a commitment to really get in there and see what she can do with a full-length novel and have a completeness and all of that to it. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to seeing, like, why is it called this? That's such a unique and interesting title. And it seems like it's sort of this, I believe a princess was kidnapped or was disappeared or something like that, and you're sort of following these two different parties as they're going through this event that's sort of unfolding in a kingdom, I imagine. And so it's an interesting premise, and from everything that others have said about this book, I think I'm gonna really, really love it, and I cannot wait to get into it. And what's extra special about this one is I'm going to be buddy reading this with Theo from Rekindled Reader. If you somehow don't follow him already and you're following me, go follow his channel. He's awesome. His videos are fantastic. And we're going to buddy read this with him. I can't wait for that. I mean, Theo's a really, really cool guy. I've been able to interact with him some on social media and on here. And I'm excited to just talk to him more, right? Like I said, making friends is what this whole thing is all about. So buddy read To Ride Hell's Chasm with Janny Wirtz. We're finally making it happen. It's going to be awesome. And that's what I got for November. That's plenty. I think that's enough for a month. So that's it, man. It's going to be a lot of fun, a lot of kind of traditional stuff going on here. There's a lot of dark stuff going on here, a lot of deep, thought-provoking stuff going on here, a little bit of fun, just action-packed, turn your brain off and enjoy it, kind of sci-fi, right? There's so much variety, and that's one of my favorite things about all of this. So thank you for watching this. Give me a thumbs up if you like the video. Let me know what you're going to read in November. I'm always really interested to hear what all you guys are into, because a lot of us, a lot of you have the same taste or very similar taste to me. So I always get recommendations from what you guys are enjoying, and that's always super fun. So talk to me in there. What are you getting up to in November? And lastly, if you watch this, you liked it, you like the channel in general, and you're not subscribed yet, consider subscribing. Like I said, we just recently passed 1,000 as of this morning. And so people, I don't know, I guess I'm not that off-putting, and people seem to be enjoying it enough to stick around a little bit. So yeah, consider subscribing if you're interested. If not, it's all good. There's plenty of other channels out there that are awesome, and maybe you'll vibe with one of those a little bit better. But I'm so stoked on the community that's building here. The NLR community is growing. It's so much fun to watch. It's so much fun to interact with and be a part of. And I just can't say enough good things about this community, man. So thank you so much for everything, not just for watching this video, but for everything. And thank you for making my life genuinely better.